which we put paint onto a surface. We call it delivery system. Delivery system you can think of in terms of how you'd get something delivered to your home. If you order something online or go to a store and have it delivered, it might come to you in the post office as a parcel, it might come to you as UPS, or it might come FedEx. It's a delivery system. Now, up until now, this has been your delivery system. This is how you've delivered paint to the surface. Okay. The object of my presentation today is going to be to show you a few other delivery systems that I've come up with to compensate for the lack of quality paint, for starters. I went to the store yesterday and purchased some plastic gloves. Now, for the most part, you won't need to use these, but for those of you who might be a little reluctant to use the stains because it stays on your fingers, I went ahead and got these plastic gloves. Now, they're cheap, but everything that's even cheap runs out, and I don't have to go back and buy more plastic gloves. So at the end of the period, just take them off, put them in your plastic bag with your other tools. When you wash your hands, if you want to wear these, just come over and dry your hands on one of those towels, because your hands will be nice and clean. These will wash. I've used these all day, and they're still clean. Not a big deal. Okay. The first delivery system that I need to show you is pretty simple. Let's say you just took your finger and smeared it onto a piece of paper. Now, you may have a brother or sister that's small that does finger painting, or if you've never done finger painting, it's actually something that frequently is done in elementary schools. And you're allowed to just smear this paint everywhere. And you get some really bright, fun stuff. And see, you're not spreading it out so that the paint stays right there. The only thing I forgot to do is to bring up my tissue. Would you grab that tissue on the table right there? Yeah, and bring it up to me. All right, thank you. That gives me a chance to wipe my hands off here. All right. So that's a start with an alternative delivery system. The second one is one of these. This is a watercolor brush. I brought in some personal watercolor brushes. All right. Whenever you go to Azel's or some art supply and you're looking to buy a watercolor brush, I want to show you the test of the watercolor brush. These are the brushes that came with your watercolors. Okay. Notice when you pull this over, it pretty much stays over. It just lays flat. And you've tried to move paint around and it just kind of lays flat there. That's a cheap brush. This is a sable brush, and when you bend it over, it springs right back. Bend it over, springs right back. Stays in shape. So you can move paint around and it'll come right back into the nice paint. Now I brought these in so that those of you who are painting into small areas can use these and get a lot better job than the ones I've given you. I'm going to have these sitting up on my table up here. You can come up and get whichever one you want, use it, clean it, bring it back up. I'll count them at the end of the period. Okay? So that's the first one. The second one are these little numbers. I've had these at home in my studio for use with putting stains on clay for pottery. And please, I'd like all of your attention. You have plenty of time to do that. Just stop what you're doing and give me your full attention up here. Thank you. Okay. Now these have little caps on them. And these little caps are going to keep the spout from drying up. So, and these little caps are very, very small. They're like something you put in your eye. What are those little...
contact lens.
What?
Contact lens.
Whatever you call those things you put on top, make you be able to see better. Anyway, when you lose those, you know what happens? You can't find them. All right. So don't drop this on the floor. Put it on something that is going to be able to see it again. If you put it on the table, you may not be able to find it. Okay? Now, what are you going to do with these? Well, I've got the little cups. So you're dipping it. No. This is for something better. This is for, like, if you want to put little dots of paint dots. If you want to take and make a line that's a little bit thicker, a little bit more exciting, you can take this, squeeze it out, and you can see that you can get some really nice effects with the paint that way, all right? It took forever to get this paint in here. It's not like I don't want you to use it. It's just like I had a student last period who was using this to make a puddle on her paper and then using a brush to spread it out. I said, hey, just use one of these cups of paint. That's what they're for. These are for special stuff. This is for the person who wants to use these for dots and lines or whatever, all right? So I only have 3 of them. So please don't just use them up for general purpose, but for the purpose that they're made. The third thing I have are these little syringes. These are a lot easier to load than the others. The other ones I had to use, you see that little funnel there. I had a little funnel and put that in the cup, and then I had to bounce the ink into these little containers here. But these are pretty cool. You see that where that ink is there? You just take this and put it into the paint and pull on it, and you've increased the volume. Now you don't want to come over and do that and fill it all the way up to here, because then the handle is way out to here. And then you're holding it way out here with your finger way out of the end, because you have to keep pressure on this in order for it to do what you want it to do. So what do you want it to do? You want it to make a nice, really, really fine line with your ink. Or get a little puddle there. But look how fine that line is that you can do. Now, even if you don't want to just put it all by itself, maybe you want to just draw some lines on top of what you already have. Maybe you want to pull some paint through that you already have here and to create some other types of things. So that's what this is for. Making very fine lines. Maybe you want to outline a shape. You want to come in here and just outline the shape that you've done. It might work with something you already have. So maybe you just want to go around the shape that you already have and outline it and come up with some really cool design. So that's the syringes.